to be a presentation by the NYPD for the United Cities Ambassador Program. And I will not take up any of your time and turn this over to Crystal, Peter, and Matthew.
No, it's not on. Quite here, not on. Thank you, everybody. So welcome to the United Cities Ambassador Program presentation, bringing the global policing community together through problem solving, exchange, and networking. My name is Krista Ashbury. I'm the Assistant Deputy Commissioner in the Strategic Initiatives Bureau at the NYPD. I know on the program, Commissioner Barrows is listed, but he was unable to join us this week, so I hope I'm an adequate substitute. I have been with the department for 18 years. I am an attorney, and I started as a baby legal bureau lawyer back in 2006, and I've had the pleasure of working in a variety of spaces within the department over the last 18 years, including our Office of Collaborative Policing, our Deputy Commissioner of Management and Budget. I worked in facilities, project management, and prior to my current role, I had the pleasure of serving as the Deputy Chief of Staff to Commissioner Sewell. Currently, as I mentioned, I'm the Assistant Deputy Commissioner in Strategic, and I think that the easiest way to sort of describe what that is sort of like the Deputy Chief Strategy Officer for the NYPD. I'll turn it over to Pete and Matt to introduce themselves, and then we'll dive in.
Good afternoon. My name is Captain Pete Moldowski. I'm the commanding officer of the Office of Strategic Initiatives Bureau. Me and Krista work together. I've been working with her for about 6 months, and I've worked in the bureau for about 2.5 years. I have about 17 years on. I've been in a variety of assignments, mostly in Brooklyn as a patrol officer, street level sergeant, and Queens a little bit as a lieutenant, but more recently I've had assignments in crime analytics, risk management, and now in the Strategic Initiatives Bureau.
Hope this works. How you doing? My name is Lieutenant Matthew Bren. I've been with the NYPD for about 17.5 years. Got over to the Strategic Initiative Bureau 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, worked in a variety of roles, much like Pete, all over from patrol to disorder control, to legal, to a lot of different various administrative and control functions. And I've been working on this particular project for about 2 years.
So I'm going to give a quick overview of sort of how we sort of see the next, let's say, 40-45 minutes playing out. We're breaking this down into sort of 3 sections. The first is Matt's going to give us a nice overview of the history and the evolution of this project for the last about 5 years, sort of like where we were, how it's evolved, and really where we sort of see it playing out at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of this program. As you can see, there's sort of these topics of exchange and problem solving, ambassadors. Different aspects of this are particularly unique, and we'll get into a little bit about why we feel this changes sort of the dynamic when it comes to dealing with and supporting your frontline staff. And then Pete's going to go into quite a bit of how to mount a program like this, whether it's pieces of this or sort of a wholesale, hey, this is a really great way of interacting with partner organizations, partner agencies, sort of how we manage the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month of the project, and sort of what pieces make sense to think about if this is something you're interested in doing for your own agencies. Before we get into the program, though, I'm going to give a little bit of a background of what the Strategic Initiatives Bureau is. We serve as sort of the primary advisor to the police commissioner and the department on its short and long-term goals and strategic plan. We provide direction and support on all sort of the innovative projects that are coming out of the department. And we sort of function as what like a research and development R&D arm for the agency. We design sort of both small and long-term we design and drive sort of like enterprise-wide programming, either self-initiated for things that we've identified as problems that we've seen either within the department or in policing, whether it be customer service strategies, making sure that we have a comprehensive VR or AI-related strategy for the department. as well as provide support to any of the other bureaus within the agency on issues they might be facing. So I know that we've talked last year quite a bit about recruitment and retention. We've worked with our Personnel Bureau on identifying sort of like quick win opportunities when it comes to recruitment, to coming up with validated, research-driven recruitment projects for them to implement within their own bureau. So we do both internal work and then really supporting all of the work of the other bureaus within the agency. We also like to focus a lot on things like this, where we have opportunities to meet with external partners, other agencies, academics, to ensure that we sort of keep this collaborative conversation going, so that we make these partnerships and these, we know what everyone is working on, so when we have a problem, we know who to call. We had Toronto in talking about their plainclothes training recently, and then I recently set up something for 2 weeks from now with San Francisco about district boundaries and ensuring, as we have evolving populations and crime trends, how are we managing like the boundaries of a command so that all of our resources are being deployed appropriately. In addition to sort of this overview of the Strategic Initiatives Bureau, we have two main arms. The first is our Office of Management, Analysis, and Planning. They're responsible for reviewing, drafting, and creating all of our department procedures and policies, and they really provide the analytical backbone of all of the work the agency does. We also have them overseeing all of our data mapping and analytics, which will be a part of the conversation tomorrow when we talk about our augmented reality application. So if anybody's interested in that, we'll be in one of the rooms at 11 o'clock tomorrow that has the support of like that data analysis and that mapping, those mapping tools. And then supporting all of that, we have project management and a change management team, right? So we have all of these great ideas. We could sit all day and like opine on the best way to do everything we've talked about today. But if we can't implement it and create sort of an institutional change for that idea, it's kind of a waste of time. So we have a really robust project management, change management team to ensure that all of these things actually get done. So we're really proud of all of the work we've been doing. We're really proud of this particular project, the Ambassador Program in the United Cities project, because it really supports all of the aspects of what we do and provides an opportunity to continue that conversation. I'm going to turn it over to Matt to talk a little bit about the background and the history. Yes.
Hi again. So I'm here to give you a little bit of background of the program and how it came about. Obviously, I'm sure you're probably thinking how it might be in London, what the connection could be, why we started working together. Well, back in 2019, the NYPD was doing a strategic plan. A new police commissioner was coming in, and part of that strategic plan was figuring out how other large policing agencies across the world were handling some of the issues that they were dealing with. So one of the agencies we approached was London Met. They're the NYPD is the largest law enforcement organization in the world. Well, then with the London Met would be number 2. As we met with them and we figured out different things that we shared, different goals, different challenges and issues, we came to the conclusion that it would be beneficial for both agencies to create a program where we share industry's best practices. We were really good at sharing criminal intel with our international partners. The NYPD has a large footprint throughout the world, but we were really not great at figuring out if we had an issue on, let's say, Times Square or a large commercial area that needed policing. How are they doing it in these places? So we tried to come up with a mechanism in order for us to share these type of things. And then the secondary part of that, we also wanted to develop a program with London Met, which was a professional development, especially for our frontline staff. Once again, NYPD great at professional development, especially for our executives, but sometimes we miss out on reaching out to our lowest level, our patrol officers, our newest officers, that we can really use them as a resource. So the program began to start post 2019. We started laying it out. COVID hits in 2020. It was very beneficial for us because at that time the London Met was experiencing pretty much the same things the U.S. was, but only about 8 days, about 7 to 10 days in front of us. So during this program, we used the United Cities program to set up conference calls with both them and then some of their connections, some of their other international partners throughout Europe and in other parts of the EU. It was valuable intel for us because we could start seeing some of the issues like staffing. What were they doing to address the staffing? How were they enforcing some of the mandates that were being pushed down from their local institutions? It was invaluable to learn that. So after that, the last piece of the program we launched was the ambassador program. I'll go over it more in detail as I explain what the program is, just to give you the history. Once we launched the ambassador program, we had a few cohorts. The manager from London Met ended up transitioning over to the Hertfordshire Constabulary Police Authority, which is very similar to Nassau County or Suffolk County in what we have, which is a large suburban/urban county policing force right outside of London. So we then had 3 partners within the program. So what makes up the program of the United Cities program? There's 3 pillars that we like to use, which is exchange, problem solving, and then ambassador program. So the exchange part is more, the exchange and the problem solving at the pillars of the program are very similar, but the exchange with a little bit of a difference. The exchange is more of we're showing other partners within the program how we're addressing certain issues. They're usually things that one of the partners is dealing with, not the other partners usually has a better grasp on it. So some of the things, the first thing that we were able to show the London Met and Hertfordshire was our real-time crime center, something we've been working on for a long time. They were looking to develop their own real-time, the Robert Peel Crime Center. So we were able to facilitate a meeting between our executives over in the Detective Bureau who manage the real-time crime, and through a series of meetings, we're able to discuss how that might be beneficial to them. CCTV. So in the London Met and Hertfordshire, the United Kingdom does a really good job with their CCTV throughout their city. We were able to figure out some of the things that they're dealing with. They're dealing with a lot of the same issues we are in terms of local government scrutiny on use of CCTV for identification during crimes. These exchanges happened over a series of weeks, and we were able to glean a lot of great intel and best practices. And the last one was one of the things we continue to work on is trying to recognize officers. The London Met and Hertfordshire have made a lot of progress in recognizing their frontline officers, and it has shown a lot of promise with retention and recruitment. Problem solving. Now, problem solving is similar to the exchange, but it's mostly on a larger scale, ongoing issue faced by the law enforcement community. Recruitment and retention being one of the major examples of that. Obviously, I think everyone in the room that's part of the law enforcement community realizes and has seen that recruitment and retention has been an issue facing not just U.S. law enforcement agencies, but international law enforcement agencies. During these meetings, we continuously try to show what we are trying to address these issues. Sometimes it's successful, and we're also able to see what's not successful in a larger system. One of the other ones we were able to work out was we had a lot of experience with power outages. Both London Met and Hertfordshire have not had those same issues as of recently, but with their increase of heat waves over in the UK, they are seeing much more of a strain on their power grid. So we were able to continuously work on these large-scale issues. And then the final pillar of this program, and the one that we feel like is the biggest commitment for us and for our partners, the ambassador program. So going back to what I said in the beginning, the professional development was one of the things we really wanted to address when we came up with this program. And so we decided that in order to do that, we would like to be able to take employees from both of our agencies, or all 3 of our agencies now, and place them in situations where they can work on problem solving. They can work on making decisions. We can really focus on giving them some of the professional development attention that they deserve. So how it was formed was that we would select 10 officers from the NYPD and 10 officers from London Met in the first cohort. They would be able to select a condition within their geographic area of employment, various issues that are ongoing and that are of great impact for their local community, and work on them with a partner. And that partner would be a partner from another agency within the UK. And over the course of a few weeks, continuously have them meet with their partner and discuss this issue and try to come up with innovative solutions that may be outside of something that our agency thinks about at the time, and apply those methods in order to the problem. All the while also providing with the participants with professional development opportunities such as public speaking, such as presentation skills, because at the end of the program, we wanted the goal for every participant to make a 10-minute presentation to the cohort and in front of their commanding officers on the condition, the progress that they had made on it, or lack thereof, what they had learned from their experience with their partner, and some of the applicable lessons that their partner were able to share with them. Right now, the program is designed with operational officers in mind, because we felt that they would have the greatest impact on the community that they're serving. Obviously, there's a thought of expanding in the future, but the operational officer was the person we identified first. We then paired with our officer of professional development and have made the program go. Right.
So I think that, as Matt sort of described in the topics of what the program feels like, I think that we probably all sitting in rooms like this over the course of these 4 days, and all of the opportunities we have to collaborate, to discuss issues that we're facing as agencies, we do a good job of that, right? If there's a problem that you know you're facing, you probably have a colleague or a colleague's friend in another agency that you can reach out to and say, hey, listen, we're struggling with X or Y. Obviously, this program creates a more consistent framework for what that feels like with London and with Hertfordshire. But all in all, I think most agencies do a decent job of having these like collaborative conversations. What I think the important piece, and what we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about, is this ambassador program. And Matt touched upon it. We've probably all had the opportunity to have some kind of professional development in our careers at this point. We're at conferences like this. Pete had the opportunity to go to DC for 3 weeks for a professional development course. We heard a little bit yesterday about the NYPD's Police Management Institute and the opportunities that affords our officer or our mid-level executives to sort of build upon and create sort of career opportunities, whether it's creating good partnerships with other executives, but also how to lead. And it's great, and we all have that opportunity. But I don't think as agencies we do as much when we talk about our frontline staff and making people feel seen and heard, and in an environment where we're competing with organizations and companies that have all of this opportunity to incentivize their staff, right? They can give bonuses, they can give raises. There's opportunities that we as law enforcement, as government, simply don't have because it's just not something we can give as an incentive. So we have to be creative, and I think that this program provides us a tool to show our officers that we are invested in them, right? So many of the officers that we have, these are within the first 5 or 10 years of their career. These are people that we want to inspire, stay on the job, advance in their careers, and show that we have taken that time in them. And I think that it's clear. I mean, professional development is sort of one of those things that I think provides us all of these opportunities, and I think that we all know FBI, IACP, PERF, like they're all doing this kind of work. But again, they're doing it for executives. We wanted to showcase an opportunity for our frontline staff. And I think that as we've grown the program and every cohort iteration, we get a little bit better. We come up with a different way of engaging them. And I think I said it at the beginning, why this is such an important piece for our Strategic Initiatives Bureau. Problem solving, identifying issues, empowering people so that they understand that they have a voice in making change. That's what we do as a bureau. We are constantly trying to find the way to fix the thing, and to have officers excited about that and know what we do, so that when they have ideas now, they have a venue to showcase them. And so we're really just so thrilled about the opportunity this gives to officers. And I mean, not to bury the lead, but it's basically free, right? This doesn't cost us anything other than a team, like making sure you have Teams or Zoom links, and the ability to bring people off patrol when you need to have them come in and meet. But ultimately, we are expending no money on this, and I think that the evaluations and the reviews we've gotten from our officers, and even the ideas that they've generated, have actually borne fruit for us as an agency. So with that, I'll sort of turn it over to Pete so that he has an opportunity to share with you sort of how we build this out and what this feels like in practice.
Yeah, like Krista said, Matt, myself, and one other sergeant run this program for the most part, and it's more or less a part-time job than our full-time job. There's no dedicated staff to this. You can manage this with staff you already have, as long as you have the resources available. I'm going to go into the logistics, like she said, I'm going to go into the logistics of the program itself and how mostly the ambassador program, because that is the most logistically burdensome part we have. But first, you have to choose what agency you want to partner with. For us, like Matt was saying, London is a similar size. They have similar problems that we do. Times Square is very similar to Piccadilly Circus. Their subway systems and the conditions that come with them are very similar to the ones we have here. So that had just worked out very well. But for each of you, it's going to be different. There are innumerable conditions that to account for choosing who would be your partner. But some of the ones that we work with mainly are staffing numbers. We have a lot of people. We could expend 10 people to go to this ambassador program. Some of the smaller agencies, if you have less than 50, you might want to pair up with another agency of a similar headcount so you guys can work and make a smaller cohort if you need to. Jurisdictional coverage and geography, like us in London, the subways in Times Square and Piccadilly Circus are similar. Maybe for some of the northern New York agencies, they might want to partner with a Southern Canadian agency or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. It just all depends on what you guys have. If you're in a very mountainous region, you guys want to partner up with somebody that has similar problems in another part of the country, such as Colorado. There's plenty of agencies that would be willing to partner with you on this. Crime and quality of life conditions, that goes without saying, but one of our major issues with the laws and the jurisdiction's criminal justice system. So we would love to partner up with Israel or Saudi Arabia, but the way they manage their laws and criminal justice systems is so far apart from what we have here. It's hard to conjointly work with them to make a decision that will work over here for us, a solution that will work for us over here. Okay, so like Krista said before, we're really pushing this towards our frontline boots on the ground people. When we were looking into building this program, we wanted three things were our major issues: rank, assignment, and tenure. We chose just, as of right now, at least we have police officers, detectives, and sergeants involved in this cohort. Like she said, they are limited in their professional development opportunities right now, so we wanted to open up that door a little bit more for them, and they're going to be around for a lot longer than we are.
Speak for yourself.
Huh?
Speak for yourself.
Touche. All in the I will. Assignment. So we're only choosing from our our patrol, housing, and transit commands right now. As these guys are on the front lines, they're seeing what the actual conditions and what the problems are. We have a bunch of administrative, a bunch of support, investigatory assignments. But right now, we're using those three because they're going to see what's going to help the community the most. They're going to bring back solutions that can actually be implemented in real life. And tenure, like Matt said, we're looking under 10 years, preferably around the 5-year. It'll help us with the long-term success of the program, and B, it'll give them an alumni network that they can bounce off of for decades at that point. We modeled with a few different selection processes to actually get people to come into this cohort. We've had nominations in the past, but in this most recent iteration, we did an application process, which we blasted out to our whole department. And not only did they have to apply, but we had them provide a resume and a cover letter delving into what they wanted to provide a solution to. This really gives a lot of good qualified candidates because it's showing that they were invested before they even got into the cohort. The ideas they were talking about, even before they conducted the research, were phenomenal, and as good as some of the nominations we've gotten after they're finished with the whole cohort. Okay, so this is the program itself, including the problem-solving exchange, is a year-round job. We do this all year. Most of the time when it's out of session, we have a standing bi-weekly meeting with London and Hertfordshire, just to go over any new or active problem-solving or exchange initiatives we're working on, but also to plan out for the future cohorts of the investment program. While it's in session, we still remain doing those bi-weekly meetings, but we also, with the cohort and the program managers, we do 8 to 10 weekly meetings to go into the details of the actual ambassador program and have them work on their program with their partners. The program is done through Teams, Microsoft Teams right now. We set it up at a time that works for London. There's 7 hours ahead of us. So it's usually towards the end of their workday and right in the middle of hours. But we're cognizant of what hours work for them. And we set it up on Teams so they can meet their partners and have dedicated time that they can work on their work on their projects with them. One sec. So our members from the NYPD, we bring them into office. We have them assigned to our office for the day. They are dedicated to our office for those 8 to 10 days during the cohort, just to give them dedicated time that they don't have to be on patrol, bouncing around, trying to call on a meeting. And it also gives us time to give them their professional development opportunities.
And Pete, that's a change in this cohort than previous cohorts, right?
Yeah, we've grown throughout the cohort. This is one of the changes we made in the last cohort, and it seems to be working much better for us. The meeting types, we have two meeting types that we typically conduct during the 8 to 10 weeks. General meetings are the times where we give them the dedicated time with their European partner. We put them in team breakout rooms, right? Matt coordinates all that. We send them in team breakout rooms. They can do their research and converse with their partners about their solutions jointly. We also have agency presentations. So we bring in either a department senior leadership or a subject matter expert to go over something that they brought to this job to help to provide a solution to something they brought into this job. We recently just had ours. We had our Deputy Commissioner of Operations come in with our transit drone team, and they were showing, they were highlighting the new transit drone program we have for subway surfing and for subway tunnel searches. It was actually incredibly interesting.
And I think that that's a nice, so it both gives the cohort participants an opportunity to learn something interesting about their partner agency's work, but it also shows them this is what a presentation feels like. This is how you structure a presentation. So we're trying to find all of the levers to sort of push or pull to allow for them to get those skills so that they have that in the future.
And then at the end of the cohort, each team member does a joint. They go first, and their partner will go to show their change initiative. 10 to 15 minute slide deck presentation to both department leadership and their commanding officer on what they're developed to provide a solution for their condition that they identified. This gives them face time with executives that they normally wouldn't have. This gives them a little bit of time away from patrol. Also, we'll bring them in for those days. So meeting structure, our typical meeting consists of 3 different sections. We'll bring them in the morning. We will provide them with group work, so we assign them a identified law enforcement topic that we want to learn a little bit more about. How to provide a little better customer service to your people. How to catch their attention as soon as they walk into command. We'll give them ideas to work on as a group, and we'll give like an hour or two, and they'll bring us back all their solutions on the hot topics right there. Then we give them the hour with their teams, with their European partner for teams, and then finally we'll give them about a 4-hour block of professional development. Matt went into it a little detailed earlier. So we work with our Office of Professional Development and our Employee Assistant Unit to develop courses just for this cohort, just to help them delve into their presentations, to give them a little background on how to develop their resumes, public speaking skills, and then we gave them a little delve into financial literacy. We have what would Pete Canadoff, he's been a professional for our pension systems and
President of the NYPD Financial Club, worked in finance and worked out finance. There's been some sort of basic financial literacy. We found that a lot of our officers aren't providing that financial training now, and this was very valuable.
And then finally, we'll bring in departmental units to present to the cohort. We brought in our financial crimes task force, our hate crimes task force. Gives them a little insight of how these units work and gives them possible future career opportunities. Just a quick overview of some of the projects that each agency has done over the last couple of years. You got the TikTok Kia Hyundai Challenge. It was hurting us really bad in the city. They did a really good project on this, and it has since slowed down dramatically in our city. Hertfordshire, they have very similar issues to us: the domestic violence, the youth disorder, youth outreach. The 2023 also. So to go, sorry, I lost my place. So in alignment with the 30 by 30 initiative and to expand the footprint of women in policing, we did an all-women's cohort in 2023. They delved into both generalistic, all-encompassing law enforcement issues, but they also went into issues that were overly victimizing women, such as domestic violence and sexual assault prevention. And finally, these are the current projects that some of the current projects the cohort is working on. They're presenting next month to us. So they're working through financial crimes directed to elderly, domestic violence reduction with comprehensive community education. Like we said, this cohort, when we had the application process, they really stepped up the project they were working on and the conditions that they're providing solutions to.
And we give them the opportunity, right? So we're asking them in the work that they do, what are the things they're facing? So we're not assigning projects to anyone. They're saying, I work in transit and I have, there was a subway surfing issue. The issues with respect to community affairs. A lot of the work that one of the officers was talking about was the victimization of the elderly. These are things that we have all been talking about for a very long time. But to provide a police officer an opportunity to identify a problem and be empowered to have a conversation about the solution, as opposed to us just telling them, no, go do X, Y, or Z, not giving them the context for why that's the case. It allows them to do the research, to understand what has happened over the last 10 years and how they can improve whatever it is they're doing in their daily, whether or not a project is implemented by the entire department, it provides them information about and the space to work through what those ideas could feel like, should they want to implement something on their own.
So like we said earlier, we're still growing. It's still in its infancy, so we're looking to expand over time. We'd like to make bigger cohorts if we can. We might need a little more logistical staff to handle it, but for now, we'd like to grow it at some point. We're looking to build more additional national or international partners. We're trying to keep it balanced. We're going to try to keep a balance of equal amount of foreign and domestic partners, but we've been vetting through some and should be joining some more soon. We're also looking to expand the roles from our job. We do want frontline boots on the ground, but we also are looking at investigators. The value that our investigators can give to the European counterparts is huge, and we're going to potentially bring them in for a future cohort. And then finally, we've been talking with some of our local colleges and universities on possibly providing college credits for going through the course.
Oh no, so I think that, so the idea of expansion and the idea of figuring out how to do this with other folks, I think Pete touched upon it have to be careful of time zones, or you have to make sure that, you know, it's London. It can't be us, LA, and London, because that would, I don't know when anyone would be sleeping. And you don't want it to just be about a fancy city, a fancy opportunity. You want to find people that are sort of really, really facing the same issues you're having. I think about New York State and how uniquely situated we are, and how interesting the conversation is upstate when you've got multiple jurisdictions covering the same areas, whether it's state police or local municipalities, the sheriffs. You know, there's opportunity there to figure out, well, how does the 911 call system, how can we improve that, and sort of having those conversations in a more sort of like collaborative way. And I think that from the cohort's perspective, and to what Pete said, this has been sort of a learning exercise for us. I think some cohorts, we've probably struggled a little bit more. Perhaps they didn't want to be there. Someone nominated somebody, and that might not have been like the person who would most want to be there that day. But I think by empowering folks to apply, we stumbled upon the right way to handle that. Having them come to the building instead of just doing it from their car, their sector car, or from the precinct, really, again, showed that investment, right? Coming to one PP, one police plaza at the NYPD, I don't know that a lot of these officers had ever been to the building before, had come up to an executive floor, had sat in an office like ours, and had that time taken with them. I think that was hugely impactful for them. And then we took them out on a Harvard trip. And you know, we want to make it so that when they think back on this, it's positive, and that they are, again, understanding the time investment that, you know, people like Pete and Matt are taking in every time they're there. I think he talked a little bit about the beginning of the day. I think this is new in this cohort as well. It's not an icebreaker, because I hate icebreakers, and there's nothing worse than somebody asking me like my fun fact about myself. And so we did it in a way that it's about just working on a problem together. Everybody get in a room and just tell me the 6 things that we would want to change about this. And if you've got the right dynamic, they will dig into it. And I'm sure Matt can attest to this. He doesn't have to say anything. They just dive right in. And that's entirely, that's what we're doing, right? That's not something that we're doing with the cohorts. That's just an opportunity that we're giving our officers to have that chance to just work through a problem. So I think that there's like dozens of things that we've like tweaked and played with that we would love to talk to anybody about, should they be interested in either how to do sort of just a professional development opportunity for their officers, how to do a partnership with other agencies. You know, we're so passionate about it, and we're totally using it as a recruitment tool for the Bureau. Like the first day I sat in there, I said I want 4 of them to start tomorrow. So it's been really successful. We're so thrilled with it. So if anybody has any questions, I think that's sort of Elizabeth.
Yeah, I have a fun fact. I actually have a structural question for you guys, and I share your experience in strategic initiatives and do that mission now in my own agency. You guys are this awesome incubator of really good ideas, and we always struggle with when it's time for the bird to sort of leave the strategic initiatives nest. Is this something that strategic initiatives is going to have a long-term ownership or role in, or is this something that you guys are really kind of developing, birding, and then it'll get transferred out to, I guess, a new organization, office of professional development, or something akin to that?
It's such a good question, because it's actually something we're struggling with. I think that where things fit in agencies has to be beyond our selfishness and our joy in particular group. Like, this is something that brings us all a lot of joy. We have to be thoughtful. I think the exchange piece and that problem-solving piece is inherent to our mission. I think that is exactly what the Strategic Initiative Bureau should be doing. Being at conferences like this, having these conversations with other agencies, that's mission specific for us. But to your point, this is a professional development opportunity. We have an office of professional development that this could very well move to. I don't know if we're totally there yet. I think that this cohort that we recently we put together, we changed a lot, and we saw a lot of success in that. I would want to do a few more of these with the same model as we managed this time before I would want to think about sending it somewhere else. But it is a conversation that we're having that, again, to your point, like, it might not fit with us, but we just might have to let go of that sort of selfishness.
We also typically post-survey our cohorts to try to see if they recommend anything that they'd like to throw on it or change, or something that they didn't like, so we can tweak further.
So, you said that you have meetings almost every day. If you get an shift officers in nights, how are they compensated? Is it overtime, downtime, or they just switch shifts?
So yeah, they switch shifts. We change, they're assigned for that 24-hour period to our office. They're only gonna be in for the 7 to 3 or 8 to 4, but if they do a midnight, they're not doing their midnight, they're coming in instead.
There's a feeling too that obviously if an officer has court or has an arrest previously that prevents them from attending the meeting or attending the meeting, we encourage that the participants exchange email addresses and phone numbers with their counterpart, and they usually end up rescheduling the meeting on their own with their counterpart for a time that might be better to make it.
Do you guys see that communication continue post-cohort sessions between the two agencies, between the officers?
Yeah, so we have been doing some more update on following that, but yes, we have seen multiple instances where people have come, done ride-alongs over when they've come to visit. We've had NYPD officers telling us that they're still in contact with their partner from the cohort. I think one of the things that really stands out I see with this program a lot of times is the mental health benefit of it. Well, you know, obviously post-COVID, law enforcement has a lot of challenges. They're dealing with a lot of different issues. One of the things we keep seeing in surveys is that it's nice to, for NYPD officers at least, to see officers are going through a lot of the same things that they're going through. So they're able to bounce out, you know, issues that they have with their cohort way in the future. That, you know, London and Hertfordshire face a lot of the same sort of, criticism that the NYPD does. So it allows them to feel like they're not alone.
The officers that have taken this already, what kind of career track have they taken post going through this? Has it been more investigative, detective division, or has it been management, supervision?
So we've had a variety. Some have taken supervisory positions, some have moved over into the Intelligence Bureau, different investigatory units. That's something that I think going forward we need to do a little bit better job on following up with them and to see where they're using this going forward. A lot of the, one of the good things I've seen is I keep checking on the officers. We have some issues with retention. It seems to be that the numbers that are people that have gone through this program aren't leaving, which is something that's kind of nice for us. A much lower percentage of officers have been, leaving the job that go through this program.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, leaving the NYPD?
Leaving the NYPD. So that's been, obviously like a lot of law enforcement agencies across the country, we do struggle sometimes with retention. We see a lot of our cohorts staying within the NYPD.
Oh, okay.
We don't know if they got poached from somewhere else.
No, yeah.
We can't say what they're doing if they did.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going work, they might be local,
Yeah.
They went to London.
Yeah. So I heard a lot in regards to like peer-to-peer police mentoring and professional development. But is there any peer-to-peer relationship for professional development and community activities as well?
It hasn't been part of, I think that some of the projects they've worked on include, right, so if they're doing sort of like crime victim work, I think that there's some work with our equivalent of like adult protective services and sort of like how to, and every agency and every municipality is going to have, right, so London's version of that is different than ours, and how to work with those partner agencies. I think it's probably pretty project specific, But I do think as we, again, continue to grow and talk about what it means to be a policing professional for frontline staff, I think that that sort of community piece is an interesting and important part of it.
The last thing I just wanted to find is the professional development for mental health resources and services. You touched upon it a little bit, that really happened. Is there space for that too, or is there, or is that incorporated forward as well?
It hasn't been totally incorporated in our core. We have a health and wellness unit, so that goes around and does a circuit regarding health and wellness specifically.
Especially the financial literacy part, obviously, we as a bureau conducted an internal employee survey, which is a pretty rich data point for us because there's 30,000. One of the biggest things that, this was right after COVID, the number one stress for NYPD officers at the time was financial issues. So that was one of the things we were able to partner with employee health, to bring in somebody that gives a little bit of financial training to try to point them the right way that might remove some of that stress onto there. But going to your point, obviously there could be expansion for further on as we continue to strengthen the partnerships within the agency.
This is the first time that, again, that we've had them come and be assigned to us for the full day. So structuring sort of 4 hours 4 or 5 times has given us an opportunity now to do exactly what you're sort of like touching upon, right? Is like bringing in different people to talk about the various aspects of both like internal, emotional, and social health, but also things about the department that they might not have exposure to working as a midnight, patrol officer in Brooklyn, right? So we were trying really hard, and that's why we're not ready to let it go yet, as we try and figure out what those hours and what the best use of those hours are.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys very
Thank you
much.
so much. You want to do the last slide?
Yes.